In this video, I'm going to tell you the 5 books you need to buy when you first start to learn astrology. Hi, I'm Alison Price, the most sought after astrologer in Vancouver. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I encourage you to subscribe and like and press the little bell so you get notified every time I put out a new video. I'm so happy that you are here today. If you stay until the end, there'll be details about the giveaway where you can actually win a book. So what is the thing with astrology books? You start off learning astrology and then you go into the bookstore, if you're lucky enough to have a New Age bookstore in your city. We do, we've got Banyan Books. Where a million years ago when I lived in Johannesburg, it was Aquarium Books in Hillbrow. And in your area, there's going to be a bookshop that actually carries New Age books. Otherwise, your other option is to buy the books from Amazon. But the question is, as a newbie astrologer, is what astrology books should you buy? Where should you invest your money? Because of the hundreds of astrology books out there, I want to say we've got the good, the bad and the ugly, or the good, the bad and the indifferent even. And I'm going to save you an awful lot of time and tell you as a beginner astrologer the 5 books you need to buy first to get you on track to learn astrology. So the first book you need to buy is an Ephemeris. An Ephemeris is a book that actually shows you the planetary positions for each day of the year of any year. And the beauty of an Ephemeris is that although an Ephemeris is not an easy book to start with because it doesn't give you interpretations, it does get you straight into starting to learn the glyphs and the signs of the signs and symbols of the planets so that you can start to understand the planetary movements. With an Ephemeris, you can open it to today, see where the planets are, and start to understand some of the relationships that go on within the planets. The Ephemeris will also show you other interesting things, not just the planetary positions, that's the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Venus, and everything else. It will tell you when there's going to be an eclipse, it will tell you when there's going to be a retrograde period that starts and how long it will be, and it will also show you the ingresses, that's when planets change signs, which is where the energy shifts comes with astrology, and these are things we're always wanting to be tracking. There are many types of Ephemerises, but there are 2 main types. You've got a midnight Ephemeris and you've got the noon Ephemeris. This particular one that I'm recommending here is the American Ephemeris. It is set for midnight and it's the one by Neil F. Michelson and Rick Pottinger. It's been around for a long time. This is its latest incarnation. The purple one goes from the year 1950 to the year 2050, so it really covers a lot of people, and anyone under the age of 60, you will be able to cast their charts with this book. It previously came out that you could get the one for the 19th century and then the 21st century and so on. And of course, new ones come out all the time. Now the thing is with an Ephemeris like this, it doesn't last forever. They do actually get worn out if you're constantly using them, reading them, annotating and making notes and stuff is what I do in your Ephemeris. And typically an Ephemeris like this, if you're a full-time astrologer, will probably last you 5 years. After that time you need to go out and buy a new one and then just put the other one to one side. It's a fabulous book, it's a fabulous resource, and it's the first book you really ought to buy. The second book up on my list of what I recommend new students buy when they're learning astrology is the Contemporary Astrologer's Handbook by Sue Tompkins. Sue is an astrologer in England. She's been around an awfully long time, and this book is brilliant. What I like about this particular book is the Contemporary Astrologer's Handbook is that it is written recently. So this book was published in 2006, so it's relatively 10 years old. It's a relatively up-to-date basic astrology book. It's excellent. It's got in broad interpretations of the planets, the signs, the houses, the aspects. She's got a lot of other information as well. She references many charts in the book. It's easy to read. What I like about this is it's clean, it's well laid out, it's well formatted. The main keywords are highlighted so you can scan the paragraphs and get to it. It is in a way it is a cookbook form, so you can go in and say, oh, I've got Uranus in Sagittarius, what does that mean? You can turn straight to the page and go in and explore that. That's the cookbook type where things are listed out, planets in sign, planets in houses, and it's a great way to learn. This is a book I recommend that if you're only going to buy one book, I would probably go for this one to start with, although you do need an Ephemeris, because it absolutely is a great resource, and there are links below the video where you can click through and get this for yourself on Amazon. Absolutely recommended. The third book I recommend for new astrologers and those who are trying to learn to start with is Practical Astrology by Priscilla Costello. Written in 2008, I believe. Let me double check that. Written in 2008. I was fortunate enough to be at one of her lectures. She's a Toronto astrologer, and she very graciously signed off my copy for me. What I like about this book, it's Practical Astrology. It's written by a Virgo. It's very practical, and it's a way to get straight into what you're looking for. Again, it's very much a cookbook where you can go in and discover the moon in Leo, the moon in Virgo, what does this mean, and get a broad understanding of the planets. Also, this book is slightly slimmer. It's a smaller edition. It's one that if you know everything in here, you really do know an awful lot about astrology. And also she talks quite a bit about the house systems and the differences there, which I quite appreciate as well. It's a very nice book. It's an easy read. It's well written. I think this book appeals to a broad spectrum of astrology students, and I highly recommend this book as your second book to understanding astrology to start with. So here we are, we're on to book number 4. So the fourth book I'm recommending you purchase is The 12 Houses by Howard Supportas. He was an English astrologer. He has since passed on. It's an absolute excellent book. It discusses the 12 houses. It gives you a great insight into the houses, the planets in the houses, where the houses come from, why we use particular house systems, and so on. Again, it's very much can be used as a cookbook, but there is a vast amount of information regarding houses in this book. This is highly recommended. I really recommend this book highly for understanding houses. Very often when you start with astrology, you kind of go with the signs. What's a Leo, what's a Virgo, what's a Gemini, or whatever. And there's a bit of a blur between the sign meaning and the house meaning. And this will help a new student to get to grips with the houses in a birth chart. So this is now, we're looking at the building blocks of astrology. We're taking it one step further to get a thorough understanding of what the houses mean within a chart. And I recommend this book for houses. So in our countdown, the fifth and final book that I'm recommending that you buy originally when you're learning to do astrology is Aspects in Astrology, again by Sue Tompkins. This was written in 1989, so it's really quite current. A guide to understanding planetary relationships in the horoscope. So I mentioned a book about houses, and that this is the book about aspects. The aspects are the connections between the planets. It's where the dialogue happens between two different planets, and it's great to understand that. She also speaks a little bit about major aspect patterns, which is how aspects can develop into themes for a life. So it's a brilliant book for you to understand aspects. There are aspects come in many forms, and there's a lot more to be said about aspects, but this is a great book to start you off, and it's the fifth book I'm recommending that you purchase if you want to learn how to read natal charts. So now this is a roundup of 5 books that I'm recommending you get for yourself for chart reading. Of course there are many other books, but the knowledge I'm giving you now is valuable because it will save you time if you go straight to a good book, well written and with good information. There are a lot of books out there, and to my mind there's a lot of, dare I even say, wishy-washy type books. But when you're a beginner, when you're learning astrology, you want the facts, you want the information you can use so that you can get up to reading charts quickly. You don't need to be spending 10 years before you still can't read a chart. By 3 months in, you should be able to read a natal chart no problem. And you will be able to if you start your astrological bookshelf off with these 5 books. Now, of course, there are many other types of books that you can get for astrology. You can get books about the signs, you can get planet-specific books, the Pluto book, the Neptune book, the Moon book, and they will come in time. There's also books like about the Yod, which is a major aspect pattern, or how to handle T-squares or eclipses or something like that. And those are more advanced topics, and I will be recommending different books for you depending where you are in your astrological journey. But what I'm talking about here today are the books you will need to start with. So if you actually want to you can get these books from Amazon. There are the links below. I'm just mentioning it. That's there for you to know. So I'm super pleased you got this far in the video, because here's the bonus for you. I myself have written astrology books, but they are slightly more advanced, not beginner's books, but however, and I do have this How to Set Up and Run Your Prosperous Astrology Business, which is a guide for anyone who wants to set up and become an astrologer, how to set up websites, domain names, and it's a way of using your chart to grow your business. Now, I will be doing, there is another video on this that will be coming out soon, specifically on the book. But thank you so much for getting this far. One lucky viewer will receive a copy of this book. All you have to do is be a subscriber to the channel and write a comment below this video. The closing date for this competition will be January the 31st, 2019. So if you're watching after that, I'm so sorry you missed it. However, the link again is still below in the video. If you already have some astrology books, write your favorite astrology book title in the comments below. I'm Alison Price. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. I like to share with you some what do astrologers do all day snippets at the end of my videos. And in this particular one, I'm going through the Mandala Astrological Tarot by A.T. Mann. This is a collection of tarot cards that are based on the main tarot cards that we all know and love, but he has gone ahead and designed all the tarot cards and given the correlations that they have towards astrological features. So even if a card says temperance, it's the astrological keyword is at the bottom there saying Sagittarius, and if it says the Hermit, then it's Virgo. And he has gone through and all of the cards, all the major arcana and the minor arcana cards, and created like the Pentacle, the Ace of Pentacles is Earth, and he's brought an astrological correlation to all of these cards, all of these Mandala Astrological Tarot. The interesting thing is that these cards are actually square shaped, and the idea of normally cards are oblongs or rectangles, but these are square, and the reason for this is that it actually can be spread out like an astrological wheel. You shuffle the cards, you cut the cards, you then peel from that second half of the deck, laying out first house, second house, third house in a circle going round, also placing a double card on all of the angles, so it's 1 1, then 2 3 4 4 5 5, and you're laying out cards in line with how you would see a chart. So if you're an astrologer and you know what the first house means and you know what the seventh house means, when you get a card that's appearing in the seventh house position, that's what that card is relating to when you're doing the interpretation for the astrology like that. This is actually a really interesting tarot deck because it's focused on astrology, and if you do know astrology, you can read this tarot deck. By the same token, if you are already a tarot reader, you will be able to take these cards, and because the astrological affinity is written on the card, you can then start to understand, oh, the Magician is this, or oh, the Hermit is that. And it's an easy way to learn astrology. Also, if you have cards, it's not just like reading from books. You're actually learning a different way. You're learning visually. The memories are put into your brain through different paths, and it's easier for you to recall and understand meanings later on in all your astrology interpretations. So I do recommend the Mandala Astrological Tarot. It's a fun way to add some interest to your readings and learn astrology. Yeah.